Another thing that I found that was really amazing to read was Sidi Ahmed Zarruq in his book Umdatul Murid al-Sadiq, The Poor Man's Assistant, where he talks about how the teacher and the student should interact, and how sometimes the teacher can actually overstep their bounds and abuse their position of authority. And the way this occurs is that because the student is coming into the presence of the teacher with this utmost respect, and they're coming with this understanding that they find in the literature, sayings like Ali's saying, which it's true, that the one who teaches you is your master. You are a slave to the one who teaches you one letter. Now we have to understand this in context, and that Ali radiallahu anhu was just an expression. It was mubalagha. It doesn't literally mean that you are the slave of your teacher. Now that's again from the student to the teacher. The teacher shouldn't be demanding that. And that's what Sidi Ahmed Zarruq says. The teacher should not demand that respect. And they shouldn't use, or I should say, they shouldn't misuse hadith such as al-ulama warathatul anbiya. And this is actually one that's commonly used by teachers to demand respect from their students. They'll say, in the same way that the Sahaba had respect for the Prophet ﷺ, and if we, the teachers and the scholars, are the inheritors of the Prophet, the inheritors of the prophets, then we also inherit their respect. So that respect that the community gave to the Prophet ﷺ, we demand that. We demand that respect to ourselves. And I've heard this from people. I've heard people say that we are owed this. And Sidi Ahmed Zarruq said that's a misunderstanding. So look at this. That's a misunderstanding on the part of scholars. Sidi Ahmed Zarruq is correcting the understanding of scholars at his time, 500 years ago, and it's still applicable in our day and age. So what does he say is that inheritance that the scholars get? He says your inheritance, he's speaking to the scholars, that you get from the prophets is knowledge and a hal, ilm and a hal. You get the knowledge of the prophets and you get the state of the prophets, a similar one, of course not the exact one. He says it's not bitaklif al-jah, that you demand this respect or khidmah or service. So he's telling people, he's telling the scholars, do not demand service, just as the Prophet ﷺ was given service by his community. And do not demand respect, the same way the Prophet was given respect from his community. Your portion of your inheritance of the scholars, your portion of your inheritance from the prophets is ilm and hal. So this is something that scholars need to be aware of, and even community members need to be aware of, that scholars can warp hadith to suit their needs and their demands for service, and their demands for respect, and their demands for even money, donations, and whatever it might be.